Chapter 29. The Three Gates of the Jinn. The sea above was crimson with blood from the shark war, but beneath the waves, silence reigned. 100 men and women, French divers, American crew, and mercenaries descended into the abyss. Floodlights cut through the black water, illuminating jagged cliffs and coral encrusted with centuries of salt. The sinkhole yawned below like the throat of the world, vast and endless. At its bottom, the mouth of a cave gaped wide, carved with runes that glowed faintly red. They swam inside, their bubbles rising in ghostly trails. The Cave of Treasures. The cavern opened into a cathedral of stone. Gold and jewels glittered across the floor, spilling from broken urns and shattered chests. Ancient weapons, shields, and crowns lay in piles, as though 1,000 kingdoms had emptied their vaults into this place. One of the soldiers gasped, reaching out for a golden idol. Rachel shot forward, grabbing his arm. "Stop!" she cried, her voice echoing through the comms. The man froze. Rachel's torchlight swept across the walls where faint carvings told a story. Her voice shook as she read the ancient script. The first gate is the Gate of Treasure. To touch the gold before the trial is to awaken the Kraken. The soldier's eyes widened in horror. He yanked his hand back, trembling. Rachel turned to the others, her voice sharp. "Don't touch anything, every coin here is bait. The Kraken is the guardian of the keys. One mistake and we all die." The manuscript on the walls. They followed Rachel deeper into the chamber where the walls were covered in endless runes. She brushed away centuries of silt, her eyes racing over the inscriptions. Her voice trembled as she translated. "Three gates guard the power of the jinn. The first gate is the Gate of Treasure. Here lies the king's key. The second gate is the Gate of Water. Here lies the queen's key of immortality. The third gate is the Gate of Kingdoms. Beyond it lies not treasure, but the throne of the jinn himself." She paused, swallowing hard, then pointed to the bottom of the script where one final line glowed faintly red. "Warning. The three gates are guarded by the Sea Guardian. At the final gate, the Kraken awakens." The debate. The French captain, his voice steady in the comms, stared at the glowing script. "We don't need three gates. We already have two keys. All we need is to find the last treasure and open the gate." Rachel turned on him, her face lit by the red glow of the runes. "You don't understand. The keys you hold are fragments, incomplete. To open the jinn's gate, you need all three. If you stop at one, the guardians will destroy you." Daniel swam closer, his rifle strapped across his chest. His voice was grim. "She's right. We didn't come this far to play half the game. We go forward, we pass all three gates." The French captain hesitated, his face cold, unreadable. At last he nodded. The decision. The divers gathered, their lights sweeping across the vast chamber of gold. None dared touch it now. Instead, they turned toward the dark passage that yawned at the far end of the cavern, its walls carved with spirals that seemed to twist in the torchlight. Rachel held the manuscript close, her voice low, trembling. "This is the labyrinth. The first gate lies ahead." The soldiers shifted nervously. Some whispered prayers. Others clutched their weapons tighter. Daniel's voice cut through the fear. "Then let's walk the labyrinth. Let's find the first gate," Rachel whispered almost to herself. "God help us, for when we reach the third, the Kraken will be waiting." The labyrinth narrowed into a long stone corridor, its walls carved with spirals and waves that seemed to move in the torchlight. At the end stood a towering gate of black stone, its surface engraved with runes that glowed faint red like veins beneath skin. Rachel brushed the silt from the carvings. Her voice trembled as she translated, "Beware. The guardian of the first gate is the sea beast, the great octopus size of a submarine. It has watched for centuries. It has feasted on men and steel alike. It struck down the two Djibouti warriors. It crushed the Russian submarine. It terrified Cousteau." The soldiers muttered uneasily. One mercenary spat. "If this isn't the Kraken, then what the hell is it?" Rachel shook her head, fear in her eyes. "If this is not the Kraken, then the Kraken must be far greater. This is only the guardian." Her words fell like stone into the silence. The opening of the gate. The French captain stepped forward, his face pale but resolute. "We came here for the king's key." "Open it," Rachel hesitated, her hands trembling. "The walls say, once the door opens, the guardian will rise." "Do it," the captain snapped. Reluctantly, Rachel pressed her hand to the runes. They flared with red fire. With a grinding roar, the gate split open, water rushing inward as though the sea itself breathed through the stone. Beyond lay a cavern vast as a cathedral, its ceiling lost in shadow, and within it, treasure. Piles of gold, jewels, crowns, and weapons glittered in mountains more than any empire had ever owned. Ancient banners lay torn among the hordes, crowns of forgotten kings buried in heaps of coins. Gasps echoed. Soldiers and mercenaries broke ranks, wading into the gold with cries of triumph. The temptation. Rachel screamed over the chaos. "Don't touch it. The treasure is the bait." But her warning came too late. One of the French soldiers bent down, his hands trembling with greed as he lifted a golden chalice. The cavern rumbled, the water trembled. Then from the black depths at the far end, something stirred. The Sea Guardian. It rose like a nightmare. An octopus vast as a submarine, its tentacles coiling across the cavern walls. Its skin glistened black and silver, eyes glowing pale white like moons. But its mouth was wrong. Rows of shark's teeth filled its circular maw, hundreds of jagged blades grinding together as it roared. The soldiers froze in terror. Rachel's voice cracked. "The Guardian? The Sea Guardian of the Jinn?" The monster lunged. A single tentacle struck like lightning, wrapping around the French soldier who had touched the gold. His scream cut short as the tentacle dragged him into the maw. Blood sprayed, bones crunched, silence fell. Then chaos erupted, machine guns roared, rockets thundered. The cavern shook with the fury of modern firepower. Tentacles writhed, smashing men against walls, snapping rifles like twigs. Marcus barked orders, rallying the soldiers. "Aim for the eyes." Flamethrowers lit the air, rivers of fire searing the Guardian's skin. It shrieked, thrashing violently, slamming into the treasure piles until gold scattered like rain. Still it came, still it killed. Rachel's reading. Rachel pressed against the wall, her torch sweeping frantically over the carvings. At last she found the verse. "The Sea Guardian cannot be slain by strength. Only sacrifice quenches its hunger. Only then will it reveal the key." Her heart froze. She screamed over the comms, "Stop firing! We can't kill it, it demands sacrifice!" But no one listened. The roar of battle drowned her out. The sacrifice. The Guardian lashed out, tearing through soldiers, dragging them into its maw. Blood clouded the water, bodies sinking lifeless to the floor. Then through the chaos, the Eye Killer strode forward. His pale eye gleamed as he drew his machete, his body calm amidst the slaughter. He looked back once at Rachel, smiling faintly. Without a word, he dove straight into the maw. The Guardian shrieked, thrashing violently, its tentacles convulsing. For a moment, the water turned black with its blood. Then it released its grip, retreating into the depths, its roar fading into silence. From the altar at the cavern's center, the treasure shifted. Gold cascaded away, revealing a pedestal of obsidian. Upon it rested a golden relic, a gauntlet shaped as a left hand adorned with rubies that glowed faintly red. Rachel's eyes widened. The King's Key. The first gate is complete. The French captain seized it, raising it high. "The power of jinn is ours." But Rachel's face was pale. Her voice was barely a whisper. "The Sea Guardian is only one. At the second gate waits another." And at the last, her words trailed off. None needed to hear them. The survivors turned away from the mountain of treasure, leaving behind rivers of blood. The gate of treasure had been won, but the labyrinth was not yet finished. The Sea Guardian's blood still clouded the water when the survivors forced open the exit tunnel behind the first gate. It led to a vast chamber, larger than anything they had seen yet. A subterranean ocean, lit by eerie blue light that seemed to glow from the stone itself. Waves lapped against black rocks. Stalactites hung above like fangs, dripping water into the endless pool. The soldiers unfolded their boats, black rubber crafts armed with mounted rifles and flamethrowers. The Americans and French climbed in, their faces pale, their weapons trembling. The sound of oars and engines echoed through the cavern like a funeral drum. Rachel held the manuscript close, whispering, "The second gate, the gate of water." But the runes warned, "The monsters here are not guardians for treasure. They are guardians of words. They don't want the gate of the jinn opened." The sea serpent halfway across the water stirred. A ripple swelled into a wave. Then the surface broke. An ancient sea serpent rose, its scales black and silver, its body thick as a ship's mast. Its eyes glowed red, its jaw filled with tusks. It roared, and the sound shook the cavern like thunder. "Contact!" Marcus shouted. Machine guns blazed. Rockets streaked across the waves. The serpent dove, then erupted beneath one of the boats, shattering it to splinters. Men screamed as they were dragged under, vanishing in seconds. The army fired relentlessly. the cavern flashing with light and fire. At last, the beast recoiled, blood pouring from its wounds, and vanished into the depths. Silence returned, but no one cheered. They all knew the serpent was not dead, only watching. The boats reached the far side, docking on a black shore. Carvings lined the walls, etched into the stone by hands long dead. Rachel traced the runes with trembling fingers. Her voice echoed, "The second gate holds the Queen's key, the key of immortality. But beware, this gate is not guarded by beasts of rage, but by beauty. The guardians of this place are born to beguile. Their songs eat the minds of men, their mouths eat the flesh. They are the queens of the water, and they will not allow mortals to enter the jinn's kingdom." The French captain frowned. "Mermaids?" Rachel nodded slowly, her face pale. "Mermaids, but not the fairy tales. These are Deathbringers, flesh-eaters. The Garden of Heaven." They opened the second gate, and the world changed. Where the first gate was darkness and blood, the gate of water shone like paradise. Flowers bloomed in dazzling colors across the stone. Vines draped the walls like emerald curtains. Waterfalls cascaded into crystal pools, their spray glittering like diamonds. Birdsong echoed, sweet and impossible this deep beneath the earth. The air smelled of jasmine and honey. The soldiers froze, awe softening their fear. Some wept at the sight. Rachel's voice cracked. This is an illusion, a trap. The beauty hides the teeth. The mermaids, the pools rippled. From the water rose figures, women of unearthly beauty, their hair flowing like rivers of gold and black, their eyes glowing like sapphires. Their skin shimmered with scales, their voices like music. "Welcome," they sang, their harmony haunting. "Come, lay down your arms. Rest in our garden, be with us forever." Men lowered their rifles. One soldier dropped his helmet, his face slack with desire. He stepped into the pool, reaching out. The mermaid's smile widened, revealing rows of shark-like teeth. She lunged, tearing his throat out in one bite. Blood sprayed across the flowers. Screams erupted. The pools boiled as dozens more mermaids rose, their claws flashing, their tails thrashing. They dragged men into the water, tearing them apart beneath the surface. On the Battle of Paradise fire, Daniel roared. Gunfire shattered the beauty. Flowers burned, waterfalls boiled, and blood sprayed across crystal pools. Grenades tore through the gardens, leaving only smoke and gore. The mermaids shrieked, their songs turning to screams that cracked stone and burst eardrums. Soldiers clutched their heads, blood running from their ears before the creatures tore them open. Marcus hurled fire across the pools. Flames spread, setting the water alight, forcing the sirens back. Rachel read frantically from the manuscript, her voice cutting through the chaos. "The guardians fall only when their song is broken. Strike their throats, silence their voices." The soldiers aimed high, bullets shredding their necks. One by one, the sirens choked on their own blood, collapsing into the pools. At last, the cavern fell silent. The paradise of flowers and waterfalls lay in ruin. A slaughterhouse of beauty turned to nightmare. The Queen's key of immortality. At the heart of the chamber stood an altar glowing faintly blue. Resting atop it was a golden relic, a right-hand gauntlet, its surface adorned with emeralds that pulsed like living hearts. Chapter 33. The Return to the Surface. The waters of the Gate of Water churned behind them, stained red with blood and ash. The mermaid's paradise had burned, and the serpent had fled into the black. But in the soldier's arms gleamed the prize, the Queen's key of immortality, wrapped in silk and guarded like a holy relic. The French captain stood tall at the edge of the cavern, his face pale but triumphant. His voice carried across the exhausted army. "We have what we came for, the King's key, the Queen's key. Together with the left and right hands, we now hold the power of the jinn. We will return these to the surface. The investors are waiting. They know the gate's location, and with it the throne of the jinn." His words stirred uneasy murmurs. The Americans stood silent, their faces grim. Rachel whispered to Daniel, her voice low but urgent. "They're rushing this, they don't understand. Every key we free, the island shakes harder. The Guardians aren't protecting treasure. They're protecting us from what lies behind the last gate." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I know, but they won't listen." The ascent. The survivors boarded their folding boats once more, pushing off into the subterranean waters. The passages they had crossed now seemed tighter, darker, the stone groaning as though alive. Above, the ocean's surface shimmered faintly with daylight. When they broke through, the sight of the fleet waiting filled them with both relief and dread. Warships floated in rows, helicopters thundered overhead. On the flagship, banners of France, Arabia, and Europe snapped in the wind. Soldiers lined the rails, cheering as the boats approached. The investors stood at the docks, dressed in white and gold, smiling as though welcoming gods. The meeting. Rachel stumbled ashore, her clothes torn, her face hollow with exhaustion. She clutched her satchel of manuscripts as though it were her heart itself. Samir, immaculate in his white suit, stepped forward with open arms. His golden cane gleamed in the sun.
"My brave champions," he said smoothly.
"You have delivered to us the keys that the world has forgotten. The jinn's throne is near, the kingdom awaits." Francois laughed, his teeth white against his tanned skin. "Your suffering has not been in vain. For now the gate of King Jinn shall open, and we shall walk through as emperors." The soldiers cheered, but Rachel's fury boiled. She stepped forward, her voice sharp. "You smile because you've never walked through the labyrinth. You've never seen what we've seen. Men eaten alive, monsters older than empires. These keys are not blessings, they're chains. And the moment you break the last one, you'll learn too late what the jinn truly is." The crowd fell silent. Samir's smile did not falter. He raised a hand, silencing the murmurs. "My dear Miss Morgan," he said softly, "you are wrong. The jinn is not a curse, he is the beginning. And soon you too will see the light." The revelation. The French captain handed over the sealed chests, the king's key, the queen's key, and the hands. The investors accepted them reverently, as though priests receiving holy relics. Samir turned, his cane striking the ground. His voice carried over the fleet. "The gate lies ahead, behind the mountain, inside the great cave. There the throne of the jinn awaits, and when it opens, a new age begins." The investors raised their arms, the soldiers roared. But the Americans stood apart, silent and grim. Daniel muttered to Rachel so only she could hear, "They don't see it yet, but we will. When we reach that cave, we'll finally know the truth." Rachel stared at the mountain rising in the distance, its peak hidden in mist. Her heart pounded, her throat dry. She whispered almost to herself, "And when they know, it will already be too late."